Victor Reese, will you take the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. In the interest of time, I would like to move item number 9 up to directly following item number 4. That would entertain a motion to that effect.
Move. Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Jenners. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up, with the opportunity for public comment. Would anyone like to address the commission this morning on any topic that is not on the agenda? In person, out there on the phone or online, your opportunity is now to visit with us. Seeing none, next up we will adopt our 2024 annual budget.
It's in the packet for y'all to review. There was 4 departments that were changed: state's attorney, maintenance, director of equalization, and register of deeds. For a grand total of $37,388,593.56 for 2024.
Anyone have any questions regarding our 2024 budget? We spend several weeks going through each department and scrutinizing their budget requests and try to do the best we can to keep costs under control. It's taxpayer dollars that we are very mindful of, and we do our best to spend them wisely. Anyone like to speak to the budget today? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Feldheim,
Second.
second by Gage. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up, Kylie Lang, Summit Carbon Solutions Project Manager with a project update. Good morning.
Morning. Should I come up here?
Please.
Sure.
Alright, so I'm Kylie, as the agenda says. Previously, I have spent all of my time, I've been on the project for about 18 months, but I've been working in Iowa. Going forward, I'm actually moving here to Aberdeen. Spent yesterday, touring some places. We're also moving up Alex, who's sitting behind me. He's our Director of Engineering. Kind of jumping right into it, you know, I'm sure you guys are aware the PUC rejected our permit. In doing that, they made it very clear that all along we should have been working with the counties. We should have been giving you guys information that you were asking for. We should have had a different approach. And we heard them, and we're changing what we're doing, and we're changing how we're doing it. Step 1 is bringing in the new team here to Brown County, which is Alex and myself. And we're gonna, work. I realize I'm sitting here with a black eye in front of you guys. I realize I can't fix it today. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna take baby steps moving forward with you guys, see what we can do. The first thing, kind of show you that, is talking on emergency management, first responders. We've been saying all along, I've been involved, so I kind of know the conversation, that we're going to take care of the first responders, that we're going to train them, that we're going to make sure they have the equipment that they need. So the first thing we're going to do is paper that up. We met with some of the emergency managers late last week to talk about the best way to do that through a grant process. We're still working it. It's probably going to be specific to each county, kind of what works with for the emergency manager, what they think is going to be the best process. But we're going to get that done here in the next couple weeks, hopefully even sooner than that, have it papered up. It's going to be a grant that comes out once we're permitted and ready to construct, but it's going to give you guys the dollar amount to understand that it's coming. And the grant is also going to be above and beyond the equipment that they need specific to CO2. So this grant is going to be for anything they need that we didn't agree to provide with the emergency management. So it's just additional funds for them. And it's also just round 1 of the grant. We're working on designing round 2, which is going to come out when we go into operations. So first one, construction, second one, operations. So we're working on papering up the first one, just so you guys have some confidence that there's, some backing behind what we're saying. Continuing on with first responders and emergency managers, we've met with all the emergency managers on the project, we've talked to them, but we want to go, the next step and start working with the first responders as well. Meeting with them, talking about their concerns. A new CO2 tactical guidance came out recently. We want to make sure we get that in all of their hands, that they understand it. We want to go through dispersion with them. We're going to be more forthcoming with information, make sure that if they ask for it, if we're capable of giving it to them, we're going to work to get it to them. So all these processes are kind of starting right now as we bring the team in here to live actually in Brown, but work with the several counties around here. But the whole goal is transparency and to get you guys information. So that's what we're working on. I cannot change the last year and a half, but we can change moving forward. We've recently created the waiver form for Brown County. I'm going to get it to planning and zoning to make sure they're comfortable with it before we do anything. But beyond just the waiver, I don't have a map to give you guys today. We don't have a route to find. We're starting from scratch. We don't have a permit in with the PUC, so we're not committed to anything at this point. And we want to work with you guys on a route that works. We know you guys have the ordinance, but if there's areas of development that you're concerned about, we want to make sure in this round 2 that we get the route correct, right? We want to get a route that works for everyone. And we want you to be as involved as you want to be. If you don't want to be involved at all, then that's one thing. But if you want to go inch by inch on the route and make sure you're comfortable with where it's at, then I want to do that with you guys. Because obviously you guys have the right to reject a waiver. And we want to make sure there's got to be a reason for that. There's got to be areas you're concerned about. And we want to make sure we're avoiding those areas or doing the best we can to find voluntary landowners, things like that. So we're trying to define the route probably in the next month or so. So that's kind of a big push right now. And the more you guys want to be involved, the more I want to get you involved in that process. I realize that, I can't give you everything today. But if you want it, we're going to work to get it to you guys. We can open up the questions. I know Jim Sire has a little bit. He's the CEO from Glacial Lakes. I know he's spoken before. He wants to say as well.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you, commissioners. Others in the room or out of the room. My name is Jim Sire, CEO at Glacial Lakes Energy, and as you know, we have the plant in Mina, west side of Aberdeen, Huron, and Watertown. We're dedicated to the prosperity of this Brown County in this area. We remain dedicated. That has never changed. We buy 65 million bushels of corn out of this area and process it into other products that has a higher value. Through this project, we're committed to the ever-changing demands of the global market and bringing those markets to this area. In the future, whether we're buying the 65 million bushels of corn for ethanol, aviation fuel, or some other green fuel or chemical, the reduction of our carbon footprint is going to be so critical to our survival and to the economic viability of this area, which in turn leads to success for local producers. There isn't another proven technology or project out there that can lower our score by the 25 to 30 points that this one can and qualify for tax incentives at the same time. This project will allow us to continue being a competitive market for corn in this community and potentially even expand. While this means jobs for Brown County and in the surrounding area, more importantly, it means higher tax revenues for you, not just from the project, but from land values and the demand for corn. A robust corn market for producers in a community dependent upon agriculture such as this one helps everyone. Without this project, we may have to scale back or discontinue our capital investment in these plants, particularly in this area if we can't get out of the city limits of Aberdeen. That would not be a good signal for this area. If we pull out of the market, you're going to see lower prices and wider basis values. Looking into the future, this may be our only way for us to get into aviation fuel, which is a market 3 times the size of ethanol and has higher margins. That ultimately would lead to more local profits. We appreciate the conversations that we've been involved in last spring, and we want to collaborate again. We now need your involvement, your feedback, your insight, so this can be a win for everyone. This project is good for every aspect of Broughton County's future. I would be happy to answer any questions about our operations or what we see coming in the future. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else from either Summit or one of the ethanol plants that have a question or comment?
Can you fix it? Let's call it 2.
For those of you out there online or on your phone, would you mute yourself on your end? We're getting some feedback in chambers here. So if you could mute yourself, that'd be great. All right, moving on. Any questions of,
Can I have a comment?
yes, sir.
How is the condemnation stuff gonna benefit my future place, with you guys still condemning me and getting to go through my farm and prevent my future? How does that help? And how does your guys', you're gonna devalue every piece of land that you go across with this pipe is not gonna help the taxes for these guys either. You guys say a lot of false information, that sounds real good on top, but what about that? Should we address how come condemnation stuff's not getting dropped? Why is that not happening with no permit or anything?
So my
I mean, you wanna work with everybody, but you're gonna just force your way through. It looks like same spiel, different people to me, but
my understanding is, Alex might know better, that we are working towards dropping those. It's a legal process, that I'm definitely not familiar with. But as I mentioned, we do not have a route at this time. So we're working to find a route that works, that works with the board, that works with landowners that are interested in the project. There's gonna be changes made there.
California'd be a good place for it, but they got a moratorium on carbon pipelines too, and that's what you guys are working to impress, so you're gonna have to.
Anyone have any questions? Go ahead, Mike.
I have a couple. Okay, on the route, you said the route, like 0% of this route is defined in Brown County, or what would you say? Do you have some defined routing in Brown County as of now?
So at this point, we have multiple options that we're discussing.
Okay.
And where we're at, we just haven't landed on where it is yet.
Okay, so my question is that we just had our planning and zoning meeting on Tuesday where you guys were in, I mean, not you individually, but your company was in, to request a conditional use permit for a pump station, so.
There's a good chance
We
that
also-
may move.
Okay, so I mean, and I told them down there because I asked how they're gonna get in and out of there and they didn't know, and we said to kick it a month or whatever. Try not to get the cart so far in front of the horse on this. I mean, if you want the conditional use permit, at least we have to know that the pipe's gonna be there so we don't have them laying out. I mean, I know we can pull them back, but.
I mean, I think to answer that one a little differently, I think the goal is to maintain it there, right? Obviously, and I know that we just had a comment that was slightly differently, but that is one, that's a tract where we have a voluntary agreement with the landowner, right? He wants the pump station there. So obviously, anywhere that we can go, especially for like pump stations, right, that we can be on a voluntary landowner, that's going to be the goal. So the goal is going to be to maintain it in that location. And how we get there is still somewhat undefined,
Okay.
but we do want to maintain it there.
Okay, because I asked them, I said, you guys can get in there with the setbacks and everything, and when they said, yeah, we can get in with
Yeah.
the setbacks to that location, because that was another kind of concern.
Yep.
And then secondly, I'm just curious, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
How is, when you talked about the emergency management and you're gonna pay for equipment and everything of that nature, how is emergency management making that decision on what equipment is necessary?
So that's been an ongoing conversation. We have the Director of Regulatory Compliance who's been meeting with emergency managers to each county and kind of what works there. But if there's something that there's a disagreement, I think that the grant is gonna assist with that quite a bit.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Dennis.
kind of to go along with the Commissioner Gage's question. So then, obviously, at this point, then you're willing to present to the public as well as emergency management what that plume study, a plume study, so that there's some connection to the possibilities of what could happen? Because I know that in the past, there's been reference to the public not being smart enough to follow up on what a plume study might really involve or what it might present. They're just wondering if you're working with emergency management to present a full-scale plume study.
Yes. If the commission has an interest in seeing that plume study, in a commission meeting, that's actually one of the reasons Alice is here. What we're capable of giving is, you know, the outputs, the inputs and the outputs, so you see what went in, what comes out, of the analysis. And we're working on the mechanics of the best way to do that right now, but Alice, being the director of engineering, is the person that's gonna work on that.
So then at this point, you're thinking that the public might be smart enough to figure out what a plume study really is and what it really involves.
If anyone ever gave the intention that, you know, we thought it was related to intelligence, I apologize for that. That wasn't specifically me. It is a complicated information as it comes out. It's basically just a whole bunch of data points. So we are gonna clean it up and put it into a presentation format, but in no way do I think that was related to the intelligence of the public.
Go ahead, Drew.
So, I guess on that note, I would like to see that at some point in the near future presented here if possible. And then the other question that I have, are you guys willing to commit this project that you're not gonna do any type of condemnation?
At this point, I can't commit to that, but we are gonna commit to finding the best route that we can.
Okay.
Go ahead, Doug.
If FEMA's in control of telling the counties that they have the authorities for routing and location, are you willing to work with the landowners, as they probably have a better idea where they should be located than you? I think you need some input as far as your routing and your location from your people you're going through. Some guy may say, well, this next 8 miles over here would be better than where you're trying to go. Are you willing to work with the general public?
Yes, we're willing to work with the general public. I like to believe we have been working with the general public, and, you know, that's how we got the acquisition we were able to get in South Dakota through quite a few route variants and movements. Obviously, we have a little bit more room right now as we don't have a permit with the PUC, but we're happy to sit down and talk with landowners.
Ed, you had a question?
Well, I was just gonna point out, a statement was made a little bit ago about that they were working to withdraw the eminent domain cases. That is not true. We just got word from our landowner attorney yesterday that he has made 2 attempts to reach out to Summit to get them to withdraw the eminent domain cases on 160 landowners in South Dakota, and they have not even returned his phone calls, and they've resisted that. So, and consequently, our attorney has filed a motion to dismiss here in Circuit Court, which will be held October 4th at 9 a.m. or 9 or 9:30 here in Aberdeen, to dismiss those cases. So they are not cooperating and withdrawing the eminent domain cases. In fact, they are resisting it right now at this point in time. So nothing has changed in that regard. And I would just have one more comment. I would say, at what point does it take for these companies to understand that people here in this community have a right to say no? We don't want it, period. It's just time to go away. I mean, we've made that very clear, and to keep coming back and offering to switch routes, make these promises that never come true. At some point in time, they have to accept reality that the public just doesn't want this.
Dennis?
And we have a right to say no.
Okay, thank you. Dennis, another comment?
Well, I'll wait, I'll come back later. Thank you, Dwayne.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments or questions for either of these people? We appreciate the updates, and, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Dwayne Seabrass. My family's been in this state of South Dakota since 1881, 5 generations. 82% of the farmland in South Dakota is 100% owned by the farmers and ranchers who farm it. 82%. Why would you want to sign an easement to allow this Summit Carbon Pipeline to come across your land when you own 100% of the land? And to top that off, a lot of the land is appraised at $1 million a quarter. $1 million a quarter. Why would you want somebody to come and pay you $200,000, which I've heard is a figure, when your land is worth $1 million? To destroy it? To put a pipeline across it? To put a pipeline across it? It doesn't make any sense. All the farmers sitting here, I know personally, because I've worked with 650 farmers in the last 36 years in a 200-mile radius of Aberdeen, have their land paid for. Why do you want to put something on it to destroy it? And that's what this is doing. This Summit Carbon Pipeline is doing this. There are better ways to capture carbon. Look at the sciences. The sciences are out there. Let's utilize the sciences so we don't have to dig up everybody's farmland. It makes no sense whatsoever. My dad joined the Fishbacks and the Bronze 50 years ago to fight the Hawaii Irrigation Project. The Hawaii Irrigation Project's got an ugly canal out north of Pierre, about 5 miles. If you want to go out and look at it, drive out and look at it. That was going to come from Pierre to Aberdeen and destroy acres and acres of land. This project will do the same thing. I'm very upset about it. If you want to read the truth, go watch your Farm Forum from 2 weeks ago. Bruce Rostetter. The whole page is donated. I shouldn't say donated, but about him. Read that. Read what Summit Carbon is doing to our land and to our farmers. 82% of the land is 100% owned by the farmers and ranchers who farm it. And the reason it's owned is because it's been passed down from generation to generation to generation. Our land has been passed down to my family for 5 generations. We didn't buy it, we didn't sell it. We just passed it down. And that's what a lot of the landowners sitting here today, that's the position they're in. Their land has been passed down from one generation to the next so they can continue to farm it, produce the food to feed the world. That's what we're here for, to produce the food to feed the world. So my recommendation is, Summit Carbon, take your stuff, go back to where you came from. We don't need you. Thank you.
Dwayne?
Go ahead, Dennis.
Thank you. And this might be a question for the state's attorney, but I'm curious as to how many lawsuits did Summit Carbon Solutions have against the county, and have they all been dropped? That would be my curiosity. Do you have any idea?
There was just the one regarding the moratorium.
And has that been dropped?
It has.
And I guess the other comment that I might make is that I think it's probably pretty well known to a lot of the people that are on the text message groups and that there's been some offers to some of the counties and some of the sheriff's departments by Summit Carbon Solutions. Now, whether or not that could be labeled as bribery or whatever, but it just looks to me like if you're going to start making offers, I don't care if it's emergency management, if it's a sheriff's office or whatever it is, that it looks to me like it could open a door for some lawsuit in regard, especially from the folks, for example, the gentleman that just spoke about his concern about the condemnation proceedings. Looks to me like if I was in that situation personally, I would probably be here at the commission chambers wondering what the county was going to do to eliminate any possibility that a bribery, that an offer would be made to anybody, the sheriff, the state's attorney, anybody that is involved with county government. When you have citizens out there that have condemnation proceedings against them, it just doesn't look or sound very good.
Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, I've just
Go
got
ahead,
a
Alex.
couple. I did validate with our South Dakota legal team that we are dropping all condemnation proceedings. My understanding is part of the process in condemnation, you need an active PUC permit. Obviously, as Kylie alluded to, we don't have one. So anyways, all those would be moot anyway, at that point. And then I just want to highlight that I know that there are landowners here that are not for the project, but I think we can point back to the planning and zoning meeting last week where there were clearly landowners for the project. I think that goes to being over 70% acquired in the state, over 70% acquired across the project as a whole. And as Kylie mentioned, right, we're committed to, at this point, without having a permit application in place, we have more flexibility to move the route, find those people, and we're committed to doing so.
Well, there was one at the meeting, and they keep saying 70%, how come they don't have to prove it? Because a lot of these people that are sitting in here for it, it's not going across their land. Like, I don't know where they keep getting the 73%. We've talked to people up and down this thing since it started, and it's not like they're dropping like flies. There was one at the meeting, so.
Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, I would just make one more comment. I think Commissioner Gary Hansen at the Public Utilities Commission pretty much destroyed that 70% voluntary easement in his questioning of them at the hearing. When he asked their attorney what percentage of that was signed under duress or coercion, and he wouldn't respond. And so that kind of told us all we needed to know about that figure. I would also ask a request, if Summit is willing, if they're gonna turn over a new leaf here, would you commit today, let's have a total list of your investors in the project, so the public can know who's behind this and who is financing Summit Carbon Solutions? Would you commit to that today?
Ultimately, no, because some of those funds, right, have hundreds of investors. It's like John Deere is a publicly traded company. There's thousands or millions of investors in a company like that. We're generally in the same boat as that. So we don't have clarity to where exactly funds come from that help invest projects like this. But I do know that out of our major investors, right, 85% are domestic, 10% is South Korean, which is one of the U.S.'s biggest, allies. So, I mean, it is by and large, a vast majority of the investment is here domestically.
That South Korean firm has been fined over $70 million for defrauding our defense contractors. Just to reiterate, that's just one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Yes.
My name is Amy Hazelhorst. My husband and I farm west of Warner, and we are one of the 160. This project has caused emotional and financial implications for my family. To explain to my 2 young daughters why sheriff's deputies have been at my home and at my place of business countless times over the last 2 years. And they don't understand why they can't take over their great-grandfather's farm without the fear of someone coming in and taking it from them. My 10-year-old daughter, wanted me to explain to her how she's been taught not to steal. Yes, that's what's been going on with us and the other 169 people. I've had the opportunity to show her the good of government because of the backing of this commission and our planning and zoning board. This is how government works. They take care of the people that elected them. As an emergency responder, my husband and I are both on the Warner Volunteer Fire Department. I can tell you that there is a lot of concern in our department about this pipeline. So if Summit wants to turn over a new leaf and support the farmers, please don't terrify our children. Don't steal our land. be respectful. If you want it on your land, sign up. Go ahead. But please don't scare my children anymore. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to ask any questions, make comments?
I wanna make one more comment.
Go ahead, Drew.
So this whole situation, since this pipeline began, I think it served as a big giant wake-up call that our eminent domain laws in South Dakota stink, and they should have been reformed a long time ago, and I'm one of the many people who are guilty, because I served 6 years in the legislature, and we never did anything, but this was the wake-up call that I think we needed to make some adjustments, and there are people in Pierre working towards that. Brandy would be one, Carl would be one, Carl Lems, John Hanson, others. Summit has, a lot of things have been said today, a lot of things have been said in the last few months, but I'd say if Summit wanted to show a sign of good faith to the people of South Dakota and to this county, the first thing that you guys should do is go to Pierre and work with Carl Lems and John Hanson and Brandy and get behind whatever kind of eminent domain reform that they're working on and get it passed so that our landowners actually have a fair shake. Because I don't think today they do, or not as fair as it should be. Once we actually have some good laws on the books that gives landowners an opportunity to fight this if they need to, then I think there'll be more people interested in possibly working with you guys. But until our laws are reformed to give landowners a fair shake, it's gonna be tough. So that would be my encouragement, is get in touch with these guys, even though the relationship probably hasn't been great up to this point, but go work with those guys and let's get some laws on the book that give our landowners a fair shake and then proceed from there.
Anyone else? Comments, questions?
Our private property rights are in the Constitution. They've been terrorized, or whatever you want to call it. Our private property rights to own land are in the Constitution, and let's live by the Constitution.
Anyone else? I just want to read one short paragraph. For the last year and a half, we as a county have been told that any regulation or influence on the pipeline itself was out of our control and out of our hands, because it went against PHMSA and their regulations and rules. On September 15th of this year, last week, PHMSA, a federal agency in charge of regulating pipeline safety standards, told 3 major carbon capture and sequestration companies that state and local governments have the authority to regulate the location and routing of their multi-billion-dollar pipelines. So that is opposite of what we've been told for the last year and a half. We do have the authority to regulate, so I would expect going forward that as you work on your routes, we apparently have the right to regulate the location and the routing of that pipeline. So I would suggest you work closely with our Planning and Zoning Commission and work through them, so that if whatever your proposed route is, we have input so that we can get the input necessary from the landowners and get their thoughts of alternate routes or routes that are less damaging. I know there's been a lot of concern in the last year and a half over the economic impact of what that pipeline's gonna do on several pieces of land west of Aberdeen, primarily because the route was directly following Highway 12 going west. Well, that seriously impacts any potential growth in that area. So, as a show of good faith, I would suggest that you take that to heart, follow what PHMSA has handed down as a ruling, and get more public input from the county and the landowners. So, anyone else have any comments?
I got
Go ahead.
one more again. I'd like to just second what Amy said. This is affecting people and families big time. I've had plenty of incidents with Summit, between the invasion, made-up story that I got to go to court, and my kids are scared to be home, and they're a little older than hers. And now we lock the doors and do all that. It's not what this community's ever been about. I mean, stuff's been open. neighbors need a wrench or something, they come in, grab it, you don't have to worry about that. But now every pickup that pulls in the driveway, it's just like everybody's on the verge of, they don't trust any vehicles anymore out there, which maybe we let our guard down before, but it's South Dakota and Brown County, it ain't been an issue. Now it's something on everybody's mind. I got a different pickup and actually drove by the neighbors that got couples over there, closed the gate and come out of there, and had his wife run me down because she thought I was another Summit employee just doing whatever the hell I wanted. And once we got everything squared away, we had a little laugh about it, but these are all real things that have happened. Like Amy said, that's real emotion. You're trying to explain this to these kids. Mine are 14 and 17, and I'm trying to explain to them too, and I can't do it. They're just, I don't know, the project needs to just end, if you ask me. There's other options to deal with this carbon dioxide that will benefit the area and not take people's land, so. Thanks again, Commissioner, for this.
I just have one more comment for you, Dwayne. I do have that letter from PHMSA, if anybody would like to see it, that outlined just what you said. And not only for the last year and a half were you given bad information about what you could and couldn't do, you were sued over it too. Let's never forget that. You were sued by Summit Carbon Solutions, and also on that lawsuit, you had an ethanol company, a person suing on that too, suing all the counties. They were suing your county, my county, and Spink County, and McPherson, for doing what you did. And it turns out you were vindicated. You've been vindicated by the PUC. You've been vindicated now by PHMSA. So everything you did was right within your powers and your authority. And I just want to compliment you for that. And thank you for sticking up for the landowners.
Okay. Any other comments?
Dennis? One last comment. This whole entire fiasco is about freedom. It's truly about freedom and about property rights. My great-great-grandpa came here in 1892. He was 60 years old from the Ukraine. Why did he come here? He came here for the very thing that's going to get stripped from the people that own property, that own land. And it isn't just the land. Next it'll be your house. It'll be whoever wants to get a hold of it for tax incentives, for economic development. Really? We've got to get into this huge government tax incentives to keep our economy rolling. Wow. It just blows me away. This is about freedom. This is about property rights. And let's not forget that.
Anyone else have any comments? Go ahead.
I just want to say, I knew coming here that there were going to be upset people. We are moving forward. We are going to resubmit to the PUC, but we're going to do it different this time. And I want you guys to be involved, and that's why I'm here today. That's why I'm moving to Aberdeen. We're willing to work with anyone that wants to speak to us. I'll leave my business card with you guys here. If you guys have anyone that has questions, wants to reach out, feel free to toss that number to them. I'll be around. I'll be coming in and out of these meetings, getting you guys more information. And if you think of something outside that you want me to bring into the meetings, feel free to reach out and let me know.
Okay. Thank you. We appreciate the updates, and thanks for everyone today taking time out of your schedules to attend, get the latest information. So thank you everyone for attending. Thank you for the information. All right, next on the agenda, Dirk Rogers, Highway Superintendent, with right-of-ways for Northern Electric, and present his 5-year highway plan. Morning, Dirk.
Hey.
You're late.
Yeah, I even came in early so I could hang stuff up and hand stuff out. Oh, well, thank you. We finally got that railroad crossing fixed to the county line. Thank you too, Dwayne, for getting on that.
Yeah.
Only took 22 years. We're right on it. Good to see ya. Well, we can start with those 3 right-of-ways.
Okay.
For Northern Electric, and they're all out on 12W.
were some, they're basically just running the service underneath the road. They're updating the services going into those houses along there.
In my opinion, you can okay all these with one motion, 'cause they're the...
Same contractor?
Well, he only put them, how did I lose my glasses? There they are. Really? No, he would've told them to just put them all in there, 'cause they're all right next to each other, but he wanted to put in specifically where they cross and all that, so I have no problem with any of them.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss to approve the 3 right-of-way occupancies for Northern Electric. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Just a quick department update on, what we got going right now. We're paving up on the north end of 16, started at, State 10, and we're coming down 6 miles. Started yesterday, that's probably all this week, and next week we'll be doing that. Then we're gonna pop out and do something out on, Brook Brown Road before winter.
Okay.
And, that'll be about it for all the paving and stuff that we had scheduled. As far as department update goes, we're mowing, and just doing that paving and mowing, and, I don't know, hoping it doesn't snow for a while.
Where did you start the mowing at this year?
I have no idea, I'd have to ask.
I was just curious. I had a couple of people ask if you thought it would be, you'd be able to get through all the mowing this year yet, so that's kind of...
As of right now, no. Now, that can change, but, and I'm just basing, honestly, I haven't been paying enough attention specifically to it, but Kendall said we're gonna have a heck of a time doing it, getting it done, so I'm going off of that. Yeah, just pass those around.
It's gotta be Elm Street for you. Probably not gonna have any
Yeah, that's fine, you can just say I did the 5-year plan and everything's looking good. You got plenty of other material there, I'm sure.
Not good when Dirk has to bring in other stuff category.
Yeah. Okay, if you're ready, this is a 5-year plan, it's gonna be fantastic. Also, do we have you got a tablet I could send around for a sign-up sheet? Everybody who's in here, just sign it regardless of why you're here, please, so it looks like we had great participation.
Well, sometimes you gotta be the finance sheet out there.
Did you guys all sign that?
Yeah.
Really good.
Gosh, you got great attendance.
Okay, we'll use that then. Here, take one of these.
Use that, you can use that.
Busy pad and numbers. Just write down that you were here.
Good that there's a lot more green on this sheet than red.
Yes, this is one of our success stories. I mean, it's kinda sacrificed some roads to get there, but I suppose I should've kept one of those so I can do my presentation.
You know what you're talking about?
Not memorized?
I could do it. I just don't know if I could do it twice.
It's all right, you're being recorded.
Oh, good idea.
Knock yourself out.
This, do you want this?
I do.
Yeah, this
You grab it.
is in the bridge.
Oops, sorry.
Are you gonna be a pain in the ass?
Yes,
or you just-
I'm definitely planning on it.
At least it's consistent.
Why would you change now?
I know. The devil you know is always better than the devil you don't, right?
Just get to know.
We'll go through the actual 5-year stuff first, and then I'll come back to the bridges. So, if you just grab your handy dandy sheet, we'll start 2024. And I'll just whip through this quick, you can ask questions. In general, there's nothing super fantastic in here other than just good paving jobs, but it's a lot of asphalt work. As you know about the bridges, we'll touch on them. We've kinda got enough of them. I think we're sitting pretty good to really get aggressive on the road stuff. So this 5-year plan has a lot of asphalt in it.
and not a lot of bridges relative to the past. If more of that more of our one-time federal money we keep getting every year for bridges keeps coming, then we'll stick these in, you know, to whichever ones will fit into those programs and stuff, but.
One more last chance?
Yep, one more last chance. Like when Dennis says, just one more comment. Well, see, I have no peril with him anymore. You guys, I still have to kind of be nice to, but. This is color-coded, real fancy. So orange is the stuff for next year. As you recall, we had a meeting about this Road 21 that's been kind of hovering around down there for about 10 years, and, you know, that's kind of a highlight of next year. Next year's a little bit of a, I shouldn't say mop-up year, but it's a lot of stuff that's fallen through the cracks, either because of where it was located, or the cost, or traffic count or something. So we're gonna get the rest of 20 north of Claremont finished. That was something that right when I came back 10 years ago, we kind of threw in some Band-Aids and to extend the life of what was there, but that'll get all overlaid. This piece down here, and then this piece from 37 going over to 18 Road 9, it's going west from the Claremont corner. That's another one that's just kind of been sitting there milled up, waited for the, you know, has a bridge in there that we were kind of waiting because the bridge was posted, and then they did some magic and all of a sudden it wasn't posted, so the bridge should be good now for a while, and we're gonna pave those 5 miles. And then down here west of 6 on 27, I guess I could maybe go in order, that might make it better, huh? This is another one that we've kind of been putting a board stretcher on it for a while, trying to keep it together, and now it's time to do something a little more substantial. We've got the 3 miles up here along with the bridge. On 16, we've got the rest of this paved, like that's what I was talking about earlier. By the end of next week, we'll have pretty much all the rest of that done. Just be that 3 miles in there.
Road 13.
Thank you. Got 2 miles on Road 13. If you've driven a truck across at Tacoma Park Road, you'll know which 2 miles it is that we're gonna be paving, but there's, we pretty much got all the rest of it taken care of. It's just, there's a couple in there that haven't been updated, so. So like I said, there's a lot of,
And you got Road 5 yet?
I got it. Geez, Doug, I'm glad you're paying attention. Road 5's the 1 mile, that grade raise that's up there. That's the piece that didn't get done this year. We might even get started on that this fall a little bit, but it's a hydraulically sensitive area. I don't know. We're trying to decide between seeing if we can drain it, but I don't think we can. We're limited on how much we can take off of there because I think there's easements on it. So most likely we're gonna add a couple pipe in there and just raise the road up. But I would like to come up with a solution where that isn't going underwater all the time.
One quick question,
Yep.
is that the first mile west instead of east?
Probably.
Okay.
I might have been turned around when I made the sheet, so I was
I
confused.
just wanted to verify, it says east and I'm just verifying.
Well, I sat and argued with the mayor of Claremont yesterday about north or south of our shop, and he kept telling me, well, that's north to me.
So Road 5 on that, grade raise?
Yep.
Does FEMA, does that qualify for FEMA funds?
No, it's a basin. It's not really it doesn't meet the criteria, I guess. It just floods based on what the water right there is doing. It's not really a FEMA deal.
How much do you wanna raise the road up there?
We're looking to see what that number is. I mean, we're doing a study on it, because I don't wanna...
And that's just a horrible spot.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that a good county road has to go through that spot, but it
I
does,
know.
so.
Yeah, and you can't move it one way, you know what I mean? It's not like we can build it around the slough. It's
Just
a pretty big deal.
unfortunate circumstances.
Yep. But we'll get it, and it'll be good when we're done. But yeah, it's gonna suck that we got 1 mile. You gotta drive through a mile of that to get to where the new asphalt is. All right, any questions about 24? Am I going too fast?
Nope.
Okay.
5 is west of, though, Tweedledee.
Yeah.
Right, just wanna make sure. All right, thanks. Carry on.
I thought you said no questions, Scott.
I lied.
Okay.
Yeah. 1 per year.
2025, again, a lot of the same stuff. 9, 2 Road 11, what am I doing there? Oh yeah, last little bit on 18, if you look at the past years, that was actually in there for a couple of years from now, but we did a little patch job on it, so I think it'll be okay to go for a while. But this down here has never gotten anything, it's pretty tough. Road 11 from, and then this piece going, again, same thing, we did a little bit in here in a couple spots to get it by, but now we're gonna have to sit down and redo the whole thing on 11. The rest of that should be pretty good. 18, these are two pieces that have been sitting around for about 8 years since we milled them up. Been trying to get blotters in there the last few years. I don't know, I got them in there for next year and we'll see what happens, or excuse me, for 25, and we'll see what happens. But hopefully we can get that, and that's just gonna go up for the first 4 miles, because the rest of that floods every other year. Road 27, that's the other side. This is pretty good in here still. This will get next year, and the following year we'll come and get this, and that's, this whole thing is our piece. Spink County has the rest of it.
Is that done just like how you build a fence, the right-hand side is yours?
Pretty much.
Okay.
There's a few exceptions, and all of them are documented in the state actually has how that goes in each county, because we have some weird stuff on the Day County line, like that bridge.
Yep.
Should be ours, but it's not. And there's some handshake agreement on something or other. But in general, just like the townships do it, stand in the middle, everything to the right is yours. We usually swap out a little bit because of this unforsaken county road we have down here in the corner that you have to go into another county to get to. We have, Spink County usually plows that out for us, and then technically, I think they actually come all the way to 14, but then we take care of a little bit of it to make up for that. 12E, that's gonna be, I don't even know how much asphalt I put in there. Enough for 3.5 miles. That's his 5, that's another one we strap back together, so I'm hoping you can go through there and just pave a few spots over it and chip seal it. It shouldn't be a huge deal. 25, Road 18, I covered that. That one. Bridge up at the Elm, we're still moving forward. That's the stuff we did the search for last week. And that should be on schedule for 2025. And that, I think that is an 80-20. Well, yeah, that's what I got it in there as. I think that number, it's gonna end up costing a little bit more, that million or whatever, it's a couple of years old that we got from them, but we pay 20% of it. And in 2025, 12W, which actually would be nice if I could squeeze it into next year, but I don't know if we'll be able to. But that's pretty tired too. That one's gotten worn out.
Yep.
So.
What about the other 4?
Which one have I forgotten?
They're in town on 12.
Oh, these?
Yeah.
I went and looked at it. It's newer than this. I'm not saying it's perfect, but, and we can look at adding it. Right now, there's a significant difference between these 4 and these 5.
Just really?
Yep.
All right.
But yes, we can, I will sure look at it. Is that my phone? What is that? Oh, that's your phone. But just so you know, I specifically didn't look at that, but we'll see here.
For sure.
Okay, any questions about 25?
Those papers are in your box.
What's that?
Those papers are in your mailbox, remember to take them.
Which papers?
Online.
Right away. Oh, really? It's moving right along. Yeah, man, this is more of the same. At 26 and 25, let me look at 25 again. And I'm assuming you guys will continue to fund the highway department at a similar level, and that the cost of asphalt won't get prohibitive until 27 and 28. You know, 25 and 26 is a lot of stuff, and I think it'll all fit in there, but if we do have a huge hiccup, it's gonna kick some of the 25, and as you guys know, but it'll kick that stuff back to 27 and 28 where there's a lot more space. So a few things on 26, just the pretty yellow stuff. Langford Road. It's been 23, 22 years since we built it, so it's probably time to throw another little bit of asphalt on there. I think is that 14? Oh, yeah, okay, 14 from 14E, so that's going down to the Warner Road, south of the airport. And then also, if you hop down, there's a bridge in there. Now, I got the bridge in the list, and all the rest of the bridges that you were gonna see on here are only in there so that we can apply for grants. None of these are eligible right now, but they're completing our bridge inspections right now, and if one of those would fall down enough or be lowered enough that they'd be eligible, you gotta have them in your 5-year plan or you can't apply for the grant. So I got them in there for that reason. It's not that any of them are impending, and as you go through each inspection cycle, you might just move them back, you know what I mean? Or they might go back to the last year, next year, it just depends on. So, these are just important bridges that, when they go posted, we're gonna have to be able to react to it. So, that's 14, and then this bridge is listed in there in 2026, but I highly doubt that it will be eligible or it'll be built then, but we gotta keep it on the list so that we can get the grant money if we decide we need it.
Subject to change.
Yes. Road 18, I'm up the other 4 miles. Actually, that's only, yeah, just gonna be to there. This is all gravel. And that again is the one we milled up 3-4 years ago and just didn't get back to straightening it out. And then Bridge 48 I already talked about. Did I get all the rest of them? Or did I? One more at Nahon on 21 for 4 miles. That one I was gonna mill up, but it was saved while I was gone. So there's enough there to keep working with it, I guess. And we got a couple pieces up at Hecla. We're gonna do something, I just don't know exactly what it'll be. Well, some of it's gonna be chip sealed. We gotta do something different if we're gonna work in the river bottom, because they're not real excited about us raising it up at all. 2-inch overlay will raise the water level 700s. So that's got them a little squirrely. So I had to come up with something there. But at any rate, it's in there, and including that piece to the east, pointing the wrong way, but the piece to the east of Hecla, you know, that's still gravel. Since they've closed some of those drainage ditches up there, I don't know, you know, if that water's ever gonna get low again, but. Yep.
Might get higher before it gets lower.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're on to 27 and 28, and like I said, 27 and 28, my last 2 years, there's a couple things in there that I'm pretty certain we'll be paving them, but I'm also trying to guess what prices and everything are 6 years out, obviously. So there's not a lot programmed in there. Most likely some things are gonna slip over the years and get moved back there, and then there's also room to put bridges in there. As 27 and 28 come forward, there'll be more stuff added in, and, you know, I think if you go back and look at all my plans the last couple of years, you know, they're kind of vague, they're more of an outline, and as opposed to the, you know, 24 stuff that we're pretty certain about what we're doing, you know. So 27, I've got same story, got that Bridge 257 is in there, just so it's on the list, but that's probably the first that will become eligible, and that's a big one over the gym down there, and it's a kind of a major road, so it's definitely one that we need to keep our eye on. In the bottom half of 14, we'll get this the 1 year, and then get this the next year. This is actually still pretty good, but if we can get a thin overlay in there in a few years, I think it'll extend its life significantly. And Road 16, I've been just going like this every time I drive by it, because I've been trying to come up with something good there, and it's gonna have to be substantial now, because of the condition it's in. it's still okay, but it's a narrow grade. We might be looking at, you know, I have it in, what did I say, reconstruction. It might be a cold in place, we might even try a hot in place on that. We're just gonna kinda see. It's a little too short, I have to find out the economics of it for the contractors. It might be too short to do anything, you know, for them to bring in the cold recycler or the hot recycler. But we'll see. But it's not something where we can go lay a 2-inch mat on it, 'cause then we're just gonna have all kinds of in-slope issues. But yeah, I'm surprised that thing isn't worse, actually. Yeah. Knock on petrified wood. Is there? I'm just slamming it. Okay, so that's the story about the 3 things I have in 27. In 28, same thing again, that bridge, what did I do, put it in there both years? That's what we did do it. Well, if we don't get her in 7, we'll get her in 8. Actually, that's probably supposed to be Bridge 1. But, same story, it's just in there for when we need to replace it. And then, let's see, Road 23 and Road 11. Again, these are way out in the end. That road's not too bad. We may go in and do a little bit of level up, and by this time, we may be able to push it back. God, I don't even want to say this, but I'm gonna, because I'm usually don't say things I shouldn't. I had concerns about the pipeline thing, not from anything else, just from what those kinds of projects do to the roads. And this part of the county that was gonna be impacted, stuff's in pretty good shape. It's easy to fix right now, and so I was a little saddened that would be an area where the truck traffic, and I'm not even talking about the digging, I'm talking about the truck traffic.
Wear and tear on the road.
Right, so I was just kinda like in a holding pattern a little bit, going, well, geez, we don't wanna make a significant frickin' investment down there at this time, and we don't need to, everything's fine. And so anyway, depending on how everything goes here and whatever else comes up, we may do a little more in this area, but I was being just a little hesitant about it. But at any rate, in 5 years, I would imagine that we're gonna have to do something significant down there regardless. But that's just my comment about that. That was just one thing that I was kind of like, can we do it in a part of the county where the roads are already screwed? That would be better. Road 11 from 16 to 18. That's another one of those, if you ever drive on it, it's all put together, but it looks like a calico quilt like my grandma used to make. It's all different stuff all sewn together through there, but it's holding together, but hopefully by then we'll be able to afford to overlay it. Okay, other stuff. We'll be doing more small bridges, the ones we do with Holloway. Again, I could, you know, write down 15 of them as they come, you know, as their schedule allows, and materials and all that stuff. We'll be continuing to work on some of these small bridges. These are bridges that we're not running through any other programs. It's stuff we'll either do with our own forces or work with Holloway to put them in. Microsurfacing, we've done 2 of those projects that I really, really like, unless you guys would be open to any suggestions. Yeah, we have one out on Richmond and Road, and then up on 14, and then the other one's down on 23. I've been pretty happy with them, and same story. We're going to be doing some micro in some places where in the past we would have done chip sealing, and I haven't hammered out exactly where we're going to be doing them all yet, but I plan on going forward doing 15 to 20 miles of that microsurfacing on a lot of stuff, on good stuff. You don't do it on, don't put the tuxedo on a turd, right? Don't put the good stuff on a crappy road, but we are gonna, I've liked how it performed, and I guess until that fails and shows me something different, I want to keep doing that. And then the hail mile, so the other stuff is all stuff that's going to happen. I just can't tell you, I haven't quite figured that all out. on the Hale Mile, what I would like to do and what I have, the engineer's looking at is getting me a cost of concrete in that first mile, and then it will replace the bridge at the same time. It's weird in there, that bridge, if you ever driven over it, it's never a smooth ride, it's constantly having problems down there. But when we get to the bridges here, it tests out just fine. I don't know this for a fact, but the number of times we've milled that road up 3 times and repaved it, that I know of. And there's gotta be, with being by the river, or the creek there, and being flooded and saturated all the time, I think that's part of the problem with that whole grade. Because we have, I mean, you've seen it, we fix it 1 year, and 2 months later, it's completely shot. So I am going with a little bit of a nuclear option, that'll be a little expensive. But I think when they're gonna have to take into consideration a lot of hydrology in there, how those local folks that live right in there are gonna be impacted. We gotta see if there's some ways we can move water, if it overtops, you know, we can build stuff in there to go over the road. So, at any rate, it won't be next year for sure. It might be in the next year or 2 after that, but it might have a big price tag to where I just won't be able to stomach it, because I'm kind of a tight ass, but I do at least want to look at it so we can, and with the way asphalt prices are going, concrete's probably looking a little better in the right application, you know? So, all right.
Would that qualify for an ag,
Maybe.
grant?
Maybe.
Ag processing, grant?
Did you get one on that last one? I can't remember, or was that just an agreement? Did you actually get it?
I think that was another agreement prior to the beef plant being built.
Right.
That money was made available, but I think if we look at an ag processing grant, that might qualify because of the truck traffic.
Right, okay. At any rate, we'll see, and that's, like I said,
It's worth a shot.
well, that thing is, prior to the beef plant even being down there, we were still patching that thing back together every 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's a tough spot when it gets wet.
Okay.
Quick,
Yep, go ahead.
just for everybody's information, tell us briefly the difference between a chip seal and a microsurface, so we all have an understanding.
Okay, so chip seal, which you've probably seen us, that's
Yep.
when you shoot, I won't get into the thicknesses, but a real thin,
Yeah, just quick
super
nutshell.
thin deal of oil, and then you drop the rock on there and you roll the rock into it. Microsurfacing's more like you're making no-bake cookies, that's what I think. You have very small aggregate, the aggregate's similar size, but the asphalt and the media that it's in is more like a thicker, slurrier deal. Microsurfacing, when it was originally came out, it was made as a rut filler. So that's where, go out where you had the ruts, and you just kind of squeegeed it in there. Well, they found out that it works really good as a surfacing thing, and yes, it's about 20, it's probably 80%, if chip sealing's, I haven't run the numbers, 25, micro's probably 40, and then move them both up like 5,000 or whatever. So it is a little more expensive, and that's why I want to pay attention to how it's performing. But it's a thicker, it's more durable, it's more costly. And then I think the value of it is you mix the stuff together and then smear it out, for lack of a better word.
Like chunky peanut butter.
Yeah, exactly. And as opposed to you put the oil down, drop the rocks and roll it.
Yeah, just so there's a clear understanding.
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
Thank you.
honestly, I throw it in between, if you just chip sealing and then hold, blotters, but chip sealing, micro, and then like a thin.
As long as it's stable to begin with and just.
Yeah, no matter what you do, you gotta have that
Linear.
part of it.
Yeah. All right, cool, thanks.
Yep. Okay. We'll hit bridges quick. Everybody have a sheet that wants one?
Don't leave them in your truck.
What?
Don't leave them in your truck.
I went out the mailbox.
This time.
Yeah, I brought my mail too. Okay. First off, I think we've seen these, everybody's seen these before. Were you here last year?
Yeah, we talked about it out there.
Okay. That bridge number, the 07-220-454, that's 07 means it's Brown County. The first number is how far east of the northeast, northwest corner, so that one's 22/10. Or excuse me, it'd be 22 miles, I guess. So, the first number is the county, the second number is how many tenths it is east of the west border, and the second number is how far south it is. So that's what their identifier is. That last number is our old county number, which predates these other ones, and so we still use the old ones. So, I'm gonna stand up here at the Bridge Mac. Mike, you're gonna have to do 180 unless you've been here long enough, you remember where they're all at.
Pretty good idea.
So, I'm just gonna rip down this first one. I mean, I'll sure talk about the ones that are good, but they're really good. I mean, I don't really have any reason to come down here unless you guys have a question. I'm gonna talk about these up here, mostly the ones that say yes, that are eligible for the grants, is what we're talking about. Because if it's not eligible, then it just sits there. So the first one on our list, and we're just gonna go through about 10 of them, is this 68. It's a beautiful place to go for a nice country drive, but someday when the engineers say that we have to close that bridge, we'll make a decision about it, but like right now, it's not something that we have a plan for. $127. That one's right there. We went in there to put some pipe in, and then, I don't know, it flooded or something, or somebody got mad, and we decided not to put the pipe in, but that's the same thing. At some point, when they finally say close that, then we'll talk to the locals and see about putting a pipe in there or whatever. Bridge 6, that was one that I applied for those grants, which we didn't get any of them. Our stuff's too good, I guess, but that's that one that's actually in Edmonds County. Well, again, when that gets to where they say you gotta close it, we'll make a decision about it. I'd really hoped we'd have got that, because that would've made that easy. 234, that's over the gym up there. That one will be closed whenever the time comes, and someday we'll probably take it out, because it catches a lot of trees. This side of it's underwater about half the time, but that's one that I have no plans on replacing, and plus it'd be about $4 million because it's over the gym. It's a short one, but, and it's 2 miles north of the Tacoma Park bridges, so.
Which we spent a little money on.
Yes. Okay, we're finally to something we got a plan for. 145. Just a little bridge on the east of the Olson Division in Groton. Subdivision in Groton, and it would be getting replaced this year, except they're behind on box culverts. So, our box culverts that go in there aren't gonna be built this year. And the backup box culvert company is building jail cells out of precast concrete, so he can't build box culverts.
We could use some of them too.
Yeah. 142. Just over from out this thing. If you can get to it, good luck. I mean, someday it'll be closed and we'll just forget it. 206 we've got planned for 2005. 271 is planned for 24. 93 is going in as soon as they get here. That's actually a little longer than you think, but we're just putting a little bridge back in there. About a 40-footer, I think. 81 and 346 are both no's. 81, again, a real scenic place, but someday when that has to be closed, there's another one right there that's closed. We may do some bartering and figure out what they want. For right now, we're just gonna leave that one, but, and that's a really long one, but if you're ever bored, that's a beautiful spot down there. That bridge is pretty. 346, that's the one up here by Hecla. No plans on that one. They tell us to close that one, we'll close it, and then we'll find out that everybody in the county used it. 2027, as I said before, that's 17 outside of Warner. 48's this one, you know, they're on the list, but neither one of them, as you can see, is eligible for a grant right now. They're close. 350, that was another one that, where am I here? That's another one that we did not get a grant for, but that one went from a 20-ton bridge to a 5-ton bridge, so I have the bridge guys gonna go over and look at it. The deck's good, I think we can pull the deck off it and just put new substructure in there and put the deck back on it, so it'll be a little savings there, but that one, surprisingly, of all places, got some phone calls about that one when it went down to 5-ton, and it's like, wow, I didn't expect that. 211's already done. They're, like I said, they're doing the inspection, so we're looking at last year's numbers. 211 up here north and east of Frederick. That's all done, and that came out really nice as well. 269. That's down here. And we're just gonna let it go till it's closed. We're not allowed to go on the Warner Township Road without special permission, so we'll have to see what we do when it's time to go work on that.
Is that just on the north side then of the county line?
Yeah.
On the township road?
Yep.
Okay.
It's actually not quite as close as it appears on there.
Yeah, it looks like
it's in the first mile, but yeah, it's a little further up.
Okay.
One, I talked about that. 143. I'll get the road number. Yeah, that one will get replaced someday with the bridge. But it's not eligible at any time now. And then I circled 66. I wonder why that is. Where's it at?
Yes, down here.
210. It's gotta be down there, huh?
Left, right there.
Maybe that's a scenic one and that's a really bad one. At any rate, when the time comes, it's gonna close, but, you know, it's a 30-ton bridge, so I don't expect it'll be a while before they tell us to close it.
Sure.
Okay, that was very disjointed and kinda bouncing around there, but those are the ones. And then, if you wanna talk about the other 122 that are good, that's fine too, but,
I think we're good.
all right.
Keep juggling.
Yeah, keep hauling canaries. Well, that's all I got. I'll bring up the certification for next week. You can do it on the consent calendar. I didn't have it where it says that we did this.
Okay. So we stay qualified for the big grant?
Yep. Currently, we just have the one at Sand Lake, which hopefully will be going next year. And I don't have any big, ones on the horizon, but you never know. And I haven't asked a question about, or I don't remember the answer. I said, well, the people that aren't staying eligible for the big program, do they still get the other, you know, bridge programs? Of course, in the federal programs, they do. But, I don't know.
Well, the plan's important for both compliance as well as making sure that you're eligible, and trying to have a crystal ball
Yeah.
6 weeks out, much less 6 years out, it's a little difficult, but the planning process is important. The plans give you a roadmap to say, okay, here's what we thought we were gonna do, and then as reality strikes, then you understand why you deviated from what you had hoped to do when reality sets in.
But, no, I totally agree with, and I had a 5-year plan in my first tenure before we had this program. I mean, didn't have quite all the boxes checked that this one does, you know, but, so, and I agree with you, because you have no metric. It's hard enough to have a metric to know how you're doing anyway, because who the hell are we comparing to, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, if you at least have your plan, and you can check against your plan, at least you have some kind of, you know, logical thing where you can...
And every spring, you wait and see what Mother Nature's gonna do for you.
Yeah. And no, we don't save any money during an open winter, that's not true.
Right. Yep.
It costs more money.
We get more done.
That's right. Anything else?
You guys don't have any questions, good presentation.
Okay, well, thanks for waiting. Let me know.
You bet.
Thanks, Derek. Stay safe. I'm gonna stay safe.
All right, next up, Joe Adam with IT, demonstrate our new website.
Come on, Joe.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah. How you doing, sir?
You're late too, come on.
I'm late too. You got the keyboard and mouse?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, run it over and grab it real quick.
I didn't get to get through all my questions.
Not everybody left, that's a good thing.
Okay. I have a board meeting at 11:30 also. We're trying to get out of here. Morning, Joe.
Morning, Dwayne. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
It's been fun so far?
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Thanks, Brandy.
Have a good day.
Yep, you guys have a good day.
Is everyone ready?
Yes.
First thing to talk about is basically we're kind of in the process of doing a new website through Brown County IT. I know that our previous one basically is an old Drupal 7 website, and there's a couple of reasons that we kind of need to go away from that. Specifically, it's getting old. In 2025 or January 2025, Drupal plans, or Drupal's the main overall content management system that we specifically use for the website, and they're planning on shutting Drupal 7 down around 2025 January, around that time. It was supposed to be a lot earlier. It was supposed to be around last year, but they extended it because so many websites are still currently running that active Drupal version. So they're looking to go ahead and, you know, at least to extend that a little bit longer. But, you know, to be ahead of the game, we're looking at creating something new, specifically what we have here. The SEO and ADA compliance that we do have to action that we have currently on the website as well is in question too. So SEO and ADA, it's marketing, and on top of that, ADA compliance, which is accessibility compliance, that we need to go ahead and make sure that's up to snuff. There could be pending legal issues when it comes to the website in regards to the color, content, and all that stuff specifically on the website due to how accessible it is in terms of color and in terms of how people can navigate depending on, you know, effectiveness for the blind and all that stuff. It actually comes into question when it comes to accessibility. So we need to make sure it's accessible, obviously, as well. Theme site's out of date, and generally the site is so out of date that if we did try to update it specifically in regards to its current state, it may actually eventually crash depending on, obviously, the module. So we decided to begin work on a new site. This is the current status that it's in. Gives us our main hero header at the top. Gives us all of our normal options that we specifically go ahead and normally pay your taxes, your beacon usage, your vital records, the career options that are specifically at the county, full events that are going on at the county, full news that's going on in the county, such as like pipeline news and stuff like that you maybe would want to have available on the site, and obviously your commission meetings that are going to be available specifically whenever they do come up. Whenever we do an event, whenever we do a commission meeting, or whenever we do any type of specific important, other meeting, let's say the P&Z meetings, or let's say the weed and pest meetings, we do actually have now a county calendar in regard that we can actually go ahead and see a full list of everything that's going to go on during that specific county, or during that particular month. So anytime that we add particular events to the actual site, it's immediately going to fill out a county calendar that will immediately be available for the public to use. So moving from there, generally a lot of the stuff that we need to provide is through the individual departments themselves, such as the auditor's department in this particular regard. The auditors is the most complete, and the auditors is kind of where I've been working on generally, because, you know, I've been spending a little bit too much time in their office recently for other reasons. But no, as we kind of move on, auditors, in regards needed audit reports to be particularly available specifically for everyone to read, such as their 2021 audit report, specifically breaking down their entirety of according to standards and generally, you know, this type of hoo-ha for whatever they need to provide to the actual, to the county at large. Also for bids specifically, as we know, we have the surplus property for the out-of-city building. Bids need to be particularly provided as well. So bids are now going to be actually provided to the auditor's menu, and on top of that, always available online. Once they come off, we're able to remove them by publishing a specific object at that time. Budgets are always available. Again, we have a whole budgeting system that's built into it as well, so budgets are now particularly available for the entirety of the county. And brief descriptions, and obviously the budget document PDF is going to be available as well. Elections again too, as we go forward, like when we go to elections. Election information, I know it's very sparse now, but we have an actual full department that's affiliated with elections. And in this case, what we're going to do is basically build out these specific pages to go ahead and make sure that we have more information available to the public in regards to elections. There's been a lot of cases, and particularly like when it came down to transmittals, it was so difficult to add them in our previous website that we came up with an entirely new system to specifically add it for cities, townships, special districts, and now will be more available and easier to search. We do have a full functioning search engine available to go ahead and do a full search specifically to the but through the whole, they're able to search through the entirety of all the transmittals. Oops, I think that's the right number, but you're able to go ahead and do a full search through the entirety of the actual, all of our transmittals throughout all the years that we would ever have them available for everybody. And as we move forward, all these departments, we're going to have to reach out individually to go ahead and get out the things that we need, and that kind of moves us to where we'd want to go future with the actual future project. Some things that do generally will come up is placing of images in specific like people on the website, such as department heads or in particular elected officials. Obviously, we're going to get carousels and show off the people that do work for the county. Eventually, we do plan on doing something similar to Pennington County, where we would actually go ahead and do not arrest records, but actual jail inmates will be basically available for public display, depending on, obviously, Dave Lensman's want to do that, so we can actually have a full inmate list specifically on our website ready to display. We do plan on actually working with Scott Madsen's office and working with him specifically to go ahead and display full GIS PDFs that are available for the public to go ahead and navigate and show basically everything in regards to all of our districts. And his current maps are on the site. It'll just make it more easily accessible to go ahead and work with the GIS PDFs instead of the countless images that people have to search through now to go ahead and get to what they need to see. So obviously working with SEO and ADA compliance, and that's also extending to not only our website, to the Brown County Fair Office website, and to the museum website, as in people need to see those websites, and there are some consistent issues that will be dealt with those websites as well. So auditing of those websites and what needs to be done on those websites to make them more publicly visible is underway. So generally that's about kind of like the project, the demonstration of some of the things we've been working on in regards to the actual site at large. I will be reaching out obviously to each department head in particular. I know we talked to HR in regards to doing career stuff. For the careers, we have a full list of specifically everything for our careers. And we actually have a full option to go ahead and pull up everything. You're able to go ahead and do a full search of every career. And I know we've actually even talked about doing a full application online, so people can actually go ahead and apply, or in this particular case, a highway mechanic. You're able to do a full application online, and it sends you right to the application, and it goes right to them. And again, it will avoid the issues that I think Stephanie and the auditors have been basically dealing with, where we're going to put caption on it, so it doesn't, we stop receiving some Russian emails from our own website. So, but other than that, generally, as we move forward, it's just reaching out to each department, see what we can provide to the people at large, and see if we can't work from there. But this is, and you're able to freely view this. This is going to be available on the domain, our current domain. So if you ever want to see it, I can give you the actual link. You'll be able to go ahead and review it, see what you like, see what you don't like, see if you guys want something in particular to the commission. It definitely is available. But that's the majority of what I had to say, is just give you guys an update specifically what we're doing over in IT in regards to the website. And obviously, if you have questions or comments, now would probably be accurate time.
Any questions for Joe?
A lot of work.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, especially I think when it comes down to the sheriff's office.
Maintaining it.
Oh, yeah.
Keeping it up to date.
And generally, that's the other thing, is content management. When we do move forward with this, I think a lot of the content management was out of the hands of the particular departments that wanted it. So articles and events that were happening, like Jesse had actually sent out an email multiple times in regards to the blood drive.
Mhm.
And we have something that's completely, that'd be available for the public to see specifically. And it's just the outreach that we would have specifically in regards to events like that. So when we actually do move forward, it's people need to be in charge of the content that they're putting onto the website. And since it was Veterans Affairs specific for the blood drive, you can actually go ahead and put up the article at any time you want. And I do plan to do classes for this stuff to give not only a skill to the people of the county, it's just that they'll be able to be trained to add that content and kind of move forward with it, so. But it's gonna be a lot of content adding obviously, it's a lot of content, it's a lot of work to add all that stuff, but it's definitely, gonna be a better alternative than what we have now, so.
Like you said, you've got standards, but also using good judgment as far as what kind of content you do or
Yeah.
don't in place and...
When we went ahead and looked at doing the inmate list like Pennington County was doing, I'm like, it's cool. I mean, you know, it was cool to see, but it's like, in regards to that, it's like, well, let's make sure we can do it over here in Brown County, just to, you know, make sure. So I've already worked with, Motorola on getting the data specifically from them, and if we need to go ahead and do that, we'll check with Dave, obviously, to go ahead and make sure it's applicable to even display it, legal. Or maybe Ross.
Maybe
Maybe Ross.
Sounds like Ross probably needs something to do.
Yeah, at this point in time, it's not something that's readily available.
Exactly. It's just mostly getting over the content, at least the base content of what we need to provide. All the extra stuff will come down the pipeline, but maps, P&Z for, gosh, even emergency management, all needs to be provided onto the website, so.
Those are examples where you have that information and you're trying to figure out the best way to make it available and get it properly linked so you don't have to babysit it all the time. If you update it, you already know that it's going to be appropriate for it to be available, and then it's available.
Correct.
And
And
as
like,
a function of the update, as opposed to, you know, now you got to put it in here too.
yeah, and it's like, kind of comes down, that's a good example, because like the burn control, like, I talked to emergency management, it's like, well, we really don't handle it, it's handled by the state now, but I'm like, where would I put it under for people to get the information? That's more or less where the big question lies, is that, or where do I even put it in regards to who is it affiliated with? And there's gonna be some things that just come up like that, that's from, on our current site, and then when we migrate that data over, it changed over time. And specifically like the deed sales and the sheriff sales, or that stuff that just generally, it's about the same thing, full sales. It's just that one's deed related and one's sheriff department related, so it's kinda like, well, what type of sale is it? So, and we got that actually broken apart as well, so full sales are actually active as a full system that's specifically meant for property sales, so people are able to access it, get any information on it that they would want, and they're able to view it fully on the website, so. But that's just the stuff that comes up that's gonna be a little bit harder, but it seems a lot of the issues, a lot of the main things have been kind of tackled, and a lot of it's right now is gonna be probably content editing in regards to departments and what their functions are and what we need to provide the people, so it's just concealed carry and all that stuff, so.
The biggest thing to take away from this is we're fortunate to have Joe on staff now, but, you know, the old website was at some point in the near future gonna quit working. So I'm always contacted by like companies like Civic Plus and stuff that want to redo our website for us for tens of thousands of dollars. Because they can see what platform we're running on, they know that it's gonna die at some point. So this was kind of perfect opportunity, everything seemed to line up right for this, so.
Being proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah.
So the two sales, they would auto-fill into the calendar?
Yes,
The county
that's
calendar?
it.
So people could just click on the calendar, they'd be able to see absolutely anything, whether they know where to look at or not on there. They would know everything coming up in the month.
I think, like the detail here in particular, you're able to click on it and it should take you right to the sale information. And it's obviously not gonna be exposed.pdf, which I think is actually like a map that I stole from. It's just a current documented PDF. There's no details currently right now. So this is just an example to just see if it could even work. So that was, but yes, you'll be able to go ahead and fully navigate anything that's gonna be taken on this calendar. So, and that's just available at all time whenever we need it, so.
Good. That's great. That'll be really good for people.
Hoping to work out pretty good for them, yeah. But, and then again, like I said, any events, if we do need generally any more, like, if you guys have suggestions or anything like that, email them to us for sure. I know that it's gonna be a lot of stuff that's gonna come in at, generally at once, but yes, definitely go ahead and email us if there's any questions or concerns in regards to data that we're displaying. Or if we're not displaying something on the current website, which is there's a high likely chance that there isn't, let's go ahead and get, send us emails and we can definitely get it taken care of. And again, the color thing too, it matches our county flag, I'm just saying. It is blue, white, and red, so we're a French flag in this county, so. But,
All right.
Work in progress.
Cool.
That's good.
Good information.
Great.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Welcome aboard, we're glad to have you back.
Thank you very much. Nice to be back.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Next up, Rachel Kipling. Morning, Rachel.
Morning, guys.
Morning, Rachel.
Well, if you'll remember last week, we had 5 proposals sent to us for talent buying before you, we considered it kind of 6 instead of 5, because there were 2 options presented by one of the folks. So the one highlighted is who we are recommending to you. A lot of thought, a lot of meetings, a lot of time went into what that was going to be, and this is what the Fair Board brings to you. So we did quite a bit, not only in meeting, but just calling references, other people that use this particular company. So Nesty Live is who they are recommending, be a 3-year contract, and I do have the contract with me as well.
Were they out of Nashville?
What's that?
Were they out of Nashville?
Yes,
Is that relation to Romeo 1 option and 2?
it is.
I know last week at the Fair Board meeting, they talked extensively about the options and the thought process and time spent to reviewing these, so I think the Fair Board did a great job of vetting these companies and put a lot of thought into and making a recommendation to the commission, so thank you to them for all their time and effort in this.
And the thoughts on the ones that were a little bit better pricing was they don't have the contractual assistance we kind of need.
No.
Whereas some of the others, including the one that was chosen, have legal assistance on staff that can help with some of that, as well as marketing help. The first 2, in the lower pricing, they felt are just kind of getting up and going. So not that they wouldn't be an option down the road, but kind of newer to the talent buying side of things. So it was nice they kind of picked one that was middle of the road as far as the pricing. Definitely not the high, but not the low, but provides a little more service. And I specifically talked to folks at that Montana State Fair, Nebraska State Fair, Evergreen State Fair in Washington about some of the routing and how their experience has been. It's all very positive.
Motion to approve the contract with Nesty Live as recommended by the Fair Board.
Okay, motion by Weiss.
Second.
Second by Gennert. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
You have one? Okay. I got to get that from you, and we'll get things rocking and rolling.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you to the board.
2 others, just quick updates. I did send, we're looking at maybe trying to get our electrician advertising out for the fair next year. It looks like 3 years ago or 4 with COVID, we had done it in March of that spring, and I just think a lot of times these contractors are already doing that stuff and planning for the next summer, as we've seen with some of the work we've done in pedestals and camping and stuff. So if you guys were okay with that wording, I had sent to Lynn and Dwayne, we were gonna go ahead and, I had put in there, we've had a few issues in the past with, additional projects kind of lumped in with Fair Week, and then I think that's what's elevated it to be, it was $29,000 this year for Moose Electric, and it was $37,000 last year. So in this particular, just in case you haven't seen it, I got a copy here. So when we advertise for an electrician, you basically need to be there all week in case somebody, like campground, goes down, to put the vendors in. This describes all of the stuff for the week that we need help with, and you can have up to 3 to 4 people at times during Fair Week, because when it's go time, we can't be waiting around. but when you add up the hours, there were some questions on some of the other projects that had been done before, so we specifically added the second to last paragraph where it says, anticipated hourly labor total will not exceed $25,000 without consultation with and prior approval of fair manager. Final detailed billing should be within 30 days of the last day of fair. And the reason the board wanted to put that in is because of some of these add-ons that got added into the last 2 years. Because some of that's, it is board projects, but some of it's fairgrounds projects, so just try to have it cleaner. So if you guys are okay with that, we're just gonna advertise and try to get quotes and put a date out there. And by putting the 25, I thought then we don't need to open sealed bids, if I'm accurate on that. Any
Makes sense to me.
issues or questions on that? Okay, and then the last thing I had was, you're gonna be getting some correspondence from the Hockey Association about their experience with the clubhouse. We continue to finalize our numbers, still getting a few of those sponsorships and fees in. Usually by the end of September, we'll have them, hopefully this week. But they were not super excited about their experience, and that letter, if it isn't to you already, should be coming. Okay, great. There is expense in that building, so I'm meeting with Duke on Friday to kind of talk through some of the issues they've had, but if you guys decide you want to give them a little bit of a discount this year, that's completely up to you, but I think waiving the fee completely would not be the wisest choice, because there are things we could have done in there had we not had it a beer garden, whether it be vendors or something else. So looking to the future, I'll talk to Duke on Friday and get more information on that, but I just wanted to let you know that those conversations are happening. And then the last thing I had was, I think Dirk left, but we were not anticipating doing the marquee this year and the price tag that came with that. We were hoping to get between fairgrounds, parks, and the fair board, putting all our, pinching our pennies and putting them together and getting a forklift yet this year. I am getting price quotes for forklift because we have 3 that are all very old, 2 of which do not run, and 1 that is finicky at best that will run for about 2 hours and then overheats. So there's a dire need out there to get a forklift that is in good condition. So hopefully we can still keep it in budget, but that's one of the things that kind of knocked us out, was getting that transfer. So I will keep you posted on what I can find online, and it's a little tricky because we need a very short one, 84 inches, 7 feet, because it can't, that's all that will fit in the little garage doors where we store a lot of stuff. So I will keep you posted on what I find. Anything for me?
On the beer gardens, and it's already part and parcel to the conversation and stuff, I think some of the practical situation of that is the length of time the entertainment continues to go into the evening. And we provide, want to provide the best value that we can for the folks that come and so forth, but it does have an impact on the potential and the participation that they have going into that facility doing that. And on Saturday night, we had 3 different acts.
Yeah.
They rolled fairly quickly, but they did go quite late. And I know we've had a Target in the past, and reminiscing, it's not never coming back and stuff. The dynamic is so much different than it used to be many years ago when we had 2 shows and had basically flipped the crowd for the entertainment. So it's gotten a little more frustrating, but I know having that entertainment go as late as it does and continue to go later and later and later aggravates the situation, so.
And we have had 3 acts the last 3 years in a row, and so it wasn't a shock, because we had planned concertedly that the board wanted to only do 2 for this very reason. Well, then when the whole Jimmy Allen thing happened, end of, beginning of summer, and you're left scrambling, the entertainment committee and fair board thoughts were, well, if we can get 2 decent acts, will that help sell the tickets that we're losing due to finding, and you're just really scrambling. So I agree, there's a lot of dynamics that go into it, and we'll talk about that on Friday, and if somebody wants to join us, you sure can.
So having the 3, there's the downtime between tear down and setup between the 2 acts and stuff. And so that has an impact too, and I think if you had 2 really good acts, or 2 good acts, you'd be better served with that.
I agree. Unfortunately, 6 weeks out, there was no really good act.
Stuff happens, so just food
Yeah,
for thought.
I understand.
Appreciate the conversation.
Let's hope what happened this year doesn't happen again next year.
Right.
That was just
Throwing a
unfortunate.
sickness. Yes, yeah. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's easier to have an inch of rain and...
Yeah, let's not wish for that, all right.
Oh, I don't know, we've managed through those
Rain's
pretty well.
never bad, right?
Every year, we've
All
managed
right.
through those
Thank you,
pretty well.
Rachel.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks.
All right, last but not least, let's talk buying a new scale for landfill.
Thanks for being patient.
Yeah.
Saving the heavy
You want
agenda
these
item
back?
from...
Right.
Yours will go fairly easily.
Yeah, fairly quick and painless, at least.
That's right. So, I sent kind of a recommendation letter to Lynn, I think she was
Yep,
cited
seen
on
that.
your packets. There was a map there in the number 2 bid as read. It didn't change who read low. We reviewed the bidding documents. Webster Scale Inc. out of South Dakota was low and responsive. Recommendation is to award to them the price of $173,297.23. And at this time, we'd also request from the commission that they authorize the chairman to sign contracts so we can get them scheduled as soon as possible.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Weiss, second by Feldheim. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
You waited a long time for that.
We could have gone first.
He's waited longer, he got less.
We had an appointment, so it's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Thanks for being patient.
Thank you.
No problem.
All
Had a
right.
great conference last week,
Yeah.
everything went well.
Good.
So, thanks Doug for
Yep, kicked it off.
making an appearance.
Yeah.
That's all we got.
Nobody got in trouble,
Nobody got in
No.
trouble.
huh?
So,
Mike always does well hosting.
yeah, we had a good landfill tour.
Mhm.
Good, good.
We ate lunch out there and
Yeah, that went well.
How many ended up showing up? Was there 100 and something?
about 100 and a quarter, I think.
Yeah, something around
With
there.
vendors. That's all.
Good.
It was a really good turnout.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
Good.
All right.
Continue to do a good job, so you and your staff, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, move on to the consent calendar. Lynn?
Approval of the general meeting minutes from September 19th.
Move. Second.
Motion by Denner, second by Weiss. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Claims and payroll.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Weiss, second by Denner. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
You spend less than Doug.
HR report?
Move. Second.
Motion by
2 weeks,
Gage,
though.
second by Feldheim. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Hold on just a second, I think he kicked me out of here. There we go. Okay. Leases?
Move. Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Abatements and refunds.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Denner. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Travel request?
Move.
Motion by Weiss, second by Gage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Plats?
Move.
Motion by Weiss, second by Feldheim. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Everybody fell asleep.
Had to look up to see if you were awake, yeah.
Set the hearing date and authorized publication for ordinances 257, 258, and 259. They're all rezones.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
We could boycott one just for the heck of it.
Review safety benefits survey results.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Denner. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay, now with those, did you guys see the request for media? Did you look at that?
Specifically, no, I don't believe I did.
Okay. He suggested a media policy and
Oh,
the complaint form. Is that something that we want to move forward with?
We want to solicit more?
Kick us out.
About the we appreciate you form.
Yeah.
I think let the state's attorney's office review it and see if it's something they have a problem with or don't.
Yeah, I looked at it, if you guys want to assign somebody to handle media contacts, I guess that's up to you.
I kind of explained to him when he was asking about it that it depends on the situation. Like with elections, me, emergency management stuff got handled. Other county stuff, it's usually the chairman. But this is just something he sent to me, as a suggestion, so.
Less government's better.
I don't think people are too afraid to come in and voice their opinions and give us their thoughts, so. There never seems to be any shortage of that, so I'd say, don't create another level of bureaucracy we have to deal with.
Thanks for the suggestions, I think we're good.
All right. Any other business come before the Brown County Commission this morning? Scott?
Do we have a second reading on that solar ordinance
Next week.
next week? Okay.
I know we've had a request to go into executive session for personnel. Any legal?
I don't have anything.
Real quick, could we just, thank the museum and staff for, they just recently received the Abbey Award for community involvement. Thought that was kind of neat, so
You bet.
just to highlight that.
They do a good job over there, so congratulations to all of them. If there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Oh, second.
Motion by Weiss, second by Gage, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries, we are in exec. Let's take a 2-minute break.
Time today.
All right, lights back on, we're back in session, out of exec with no action as a result. Is there anything else to come before the Brown County Commission today? Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Valentine, second by Weiss to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries, we are adjourned.